Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the I'll Try That podcast. This week I am joined by Matty Barber. Say hello, Matt.
Hey, hey, hey.
And this week we are travelling to the Cotswolds to talk about one of the most famous, I want to say, family-run breweries of all time. Is that fair to say?
I think that's fair to say. The only bit I'd take exception to is that I'm not travelling. I'm already in the Cotswolds.
Oh, okay, there you go.
So, yeah. So, showed you, didn't I?
You're at the brewery right now, then? Is that where you are?
No, I don't know. I don't know why I have to be so abrasive sometimes.
Oh, you could palm it off as if you were actually there on tap. You know, you're live from the Cotswolds. It's Matthew Barber.
The listeners have no idea, do they? Sorry, with respect.
They don't know you're in your bedroom
I
right
could
now.
be anywhere. I'm wearing the t-shirt, though.
That's true.
We'll get on to
you
that.
have dressed to impress for this one. But first, I guess before we dive into the meat of the episode, let's go to the hot topic. Have you got a bit of a light story for us this week, Barber?
Light-ish. Do you know what? We've got to apologise. This is one where I go, I've been pretty slow on the uptake with this bit of news because this is getting into. It's not quite a year old, but it's getting there.
That's some slow news.
It's been a slow news week in many ways, but I was looking through this and I thought it was interesting. I mean, cast your minds back to May 2020, and I think the question on everyone's lips was all about whether Finland was going to join NATO, right?
Yes,
right?
Absolutely, yes, yeah.
Of course, I know.
Isn't that still an ongoing conversation? I don't feel like that's resolved right now, is it?
To be honest, as far as you and I are concerned, we're not going to find out for another 9 months anyway. So people don't come to us for the news, Joe. It's for the it's for the hot takes on the latest
hot
beer
takes
fads.
and the pithy remarks.
Yeah. Do you know what? We'll close this one off pretty quickly then. There is a wonderful craft brewery in Savonlinna, eastern Finland, called Olaf Craft Brewery, and their owner Petteri Vantinen had a cracking idea, thinking about Finland's application to join NATO, and then thought, well, of course, that's left the door wide open for creating a NATO themed beer. Would you like to make a guess as to what Finland's Olaf Craft Brewery. I'm in bits here.
You're all over the place.
Olaf Craft Brewery in Finland. What do you think they called their "We want to join NATO" beer?
I don't know. Like, let us join. Let us in.
Yeah. I quite like that. It's slightly. I was going to say it's not as unwieldy as that, but it's still quite unwieldy. I can't even remember what NATO is an acronym. No, I can't remember what NATO is an acronym.
Tactical.
I knew it once upon a time as well. It's just, it's
the North Atlantic Treaty Organisation.
Treaty Organisation, yeah.
Just
God,
off the top of my head,
I just got that, did you? Just channeled it from somewhere.
Yeah.
So what they did, right, is they took NATO and they just put it the other way around. So they made it a beer called OTAN.
Nice.
And everyone was big in it last year. And yeah, it was quite popular. I don't think it's exported since, but, it was an interesting idea. They shipped originally about 8,000 litres of it, so they can't have been doing too bad. It must have been a popular idea, both the joining of NATO and the drinking of a beer for it. So that's not a bad idea. We managed to make it a little bit political without making it too serious.
I can give you an update on this because I thought Sweden was getting their application to NATO vetoed by Turkey at the moment for some reason. Which if Sweden haven't got in, then I think Finland also weren't in. So yes, Finland are one of 6 non-member nations who are trying to get into NATO but aren't in NATO yet.
Yeah, it is Turkey who tend to veto these things, isn't it, for some reason? That's going to get into the world of political stuff, but maybe we should make a political statement by getting hold of some OTAN, which is a 5.3% beer.
That sounds like something we have more reason to weigh in on. Let's put it that way. I think the beer is something we've got more interested in, more appetite to weigh in on. Talking of lovely beer, talk us about Hook Norton. We're going to the Cotswolds, your neck of the woods then.
Yes, let's do. I went and visited the Hook Norton Brewery about 18 months ago. So again, we're keeping up with our theme of only telling the listeners about any of this stuff a long time after it's happened. It is a really cool old school brewery. They still brew, as I understand, is it the tower method?
They do.
Because they have this awesome Victorian era brewing site. They have brought in some more up-to-date equipment as well. But it's a gorgeous, really aesthetically pleasing brewery. They do great tours. Go and enjoy them. And there's so much to like about them as a brewery. This is quite a wholesome episode, I think, talking about Hook Norton.
It is, and I think you've hit the nail on the head. They still use this Victorian tower brewery method where they still use a steam engine. I saw
the steam engine, yeah.
You've seen it.
It's like, yeah. It's a functional item, but you go, look,
it's a steam engine up there. Yeah, which is not something you see in the more modern breweries nowadays, as you see in many breweries. So they still have this thing. And I love they've got a diorama. Which is basically like the tower, how do they refer to it? The Victorian Tower Brewery. It's like a cross section, as if someone's chopped it in half, and you can see inside it. And it is quite literally, as you'd imagine, a tower. There's 5 floors of different things happening, where it starts up at the top and it comes all the way down, all powered by the steam engine on the ground floor. It's fascinating.
And that's not the only bit of old schoolery that they keep to. I think they're something like they're one of a very finite number of family brewers in the UK.
Yeah.
But I think they also are one of something like only 3 who still actually go and deliver beer from the brewery to some pubs. Within the vicinity, using Shire horses.
Wow.
And the Shire horses are also pretty gorgeous. They're called something like Brigadier, Nelson and Lady Grey.
Love it. Love that.
And it is almost like, I don't know, someone not from the UK to look at them would think it's like something out of a Tolkien book. It is...
There's something very mystical, magical about this Hook Norton Brewery, isn't there?
Big time, yeah. It's a lovely place. I think it's just having an actual Victorian building. They started out in, what was it? I think it was 1849.
Yeah, nice.
So they've been on the scene a long time. At some point we'll get to talking about the beer itself. I'm a big fan. It's maybe not one to entice Mr. Drabwell, which is probably for the best he's missing this episode. But it's good, wholesome beer from an old school brewery.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great way to sum it up. I'm trying their Off the Hook, which is their I.P.A. So
how is it?
It is, as you would imagine, for a brewery of this kind of caliber and kind of how they brew their beer without using automatic systems. They even say that they even still have someone to mash in and climb the stairs in order to rouse the beer by hand using a paddle 365 days a year. So anyway, it has definitely been made with love, this beer. It is quite fizzy, actually. It's not like the, kind of fizzy as in, the crafty IPAs, but it's definitely not a flat IPA by any stretch of the imagination. Now, it might be because I'm having this out of the bottle. This is their kind of staple for, if you're not getting it from cask, you get it in their 500 milliliter bottles. So it's a big old bottle. But no, it's I'm enjoying the flavors. It's definitely, I think, got some sort of citra involved because my mouth is getting quite dry. The more I drink of it, but it's it's a very delicious beer, but it's not given how the kind of, we talked about how old the brewery is and the fact that they use very traditional Victorian methods down to the fact that they have a Victorian brewing tower, it doesn't taste like an old school beer, which I think is quite interesting.
Okay. Yeah. And kind of encouraging to see, because I think it would be, you'd be forgiven for thinking that a lot of what these guys produce is going to do that. I've got Hooky Gold, which is their gold. I mean, they describe it, they pretty much nailed it in their nutshell. Pale gold and zesty. It is nice and zesty. It's got what's the phrase? A good strong hop profile.
Yeah.
I at first said that it was really malty, but that was only because we were moving on from something a little different before. But fruity, zesty. It possibly won a little bit more for the summer, but it's that gorgeous. It's golden in colour now. I mean, this is no big revelation here, but again, it's a lovely drop. It just seems to disappear. It's like there's a hole in the bottom of the glass.
Oh, delicious. And they have plenty of other beers, as you'd imagine. They also have the whole range of ciders as well. They have, the whole host. I mean, I've got their, in order to do this episode, I purchased the 6-pack of 500ml bottles, like mix pack that they have. So I've got a whole range there. I've got their Hooky, which is not their gold, but it's their original Hooky. I'm excited to try that one, but that seems like it's like maybe maybe it was there first before the gold. I'm not sure.
Hooky and Hooky Gold you seem to see in pubs around here as well on tap and actually just in shops, in bottle form as well. But Hooky and Hooky Gold you see quite often, less so the Off the Hook, which I think is one of the more recent ones. Yeah, well, this is this Off the Hook is very nice. It's very delicious. Yeah, and they've got a Haymaker, which I'm looking forward to trying, which is their premium pale ale. I've got a bottle of that. There's a couple of stout. There's a stout or a porter, I think it is, that I have downstairs as well. So I'm looking forward to trying that. There's a 4.8% double stout.
Oh, yeah, that's probably what it is actually. I think that's the only one I can see actually. And then Greedy Goose, which is their winter ale. They give me one of those as well.
Oh, nice. That would be, I think, well, you're at the right time of year, aren't you? It's I'm guessing that's one of your sort of malty, almost more like, the kind of fruitcake ones, the darker brown sort of ale, I guess. Yes, the Greedy Goose is described as honkingly good ale.
Oh, it's brilliant. Love a good dad joke.
Yeah, excellent. But I know the Cotswolds not necessarily on everyone's doorstep, but the tour they did for us was fantastic. They got a really cool little bar downstairs underneath the brewery, like in the cellar, where they do like a little tasting at the end after the tour. So just so having been on site as well, you do get a really nice feel once you're there of how much the brewery means to the people there as well, and it's got that real vibe of tradition and keeping it in the family.
Yeah.
I'd say. So, can you say you taste it in a beer? That seems a little bit contrived. But
we've joked about in the past that love and the passion for beer is the sixth ingredient to any good. But I think you're seeing it come through. But I love as well. I've just gone onto their events page. The different things that are upcoming. And it's everything as you'd expect, what they're going to be hosting, the live Six Nations rugby, viewing. They've got a classics car, and motorcycle meet, which is quite cool at the brewery. They're doing a free beer tasting. So get yourself down for some free beers there. And they have a 3-course Valentine's Day dinner. Which, if you want to spend your lovely Valentine's, go down to Hook Norton for the, in the tap room.
For your, I've been waiting to try and crowbar this phrase in, and I'm doing it in a really smooth way, I think now. For the zithophile in your life.
Oh, zithophile. What's a zithophile?
It's a person who loves beer, Joe.
Oh, I didn't know that actually. That's very good.
That would have. I mean, when we do the offshoot, the spin-off podcast, I think that should be the name of it.
The zithophile.
Zithophiles, or something like that. But
I do wonder if someone's going to spell it wrong and get down a very different Google route, which we don't want anyone to go down. So I wonder.
Yeah, do you know what? You could end up with anything there.
Yeah, exactly. But it's going to be one of my favourite things, though. If people introduce, say, "Oh, this is Joe," and I'll say, "Yeah, I want them to introduce me as Joe the Zithophile." That would be quite nice.
Oh dear, it could go so wrong.
I don't think there's any confusion there, Bala. I think that's absolutely fine.
Yeah. Joe Druitt, Zithophile. Colons if a file. Good stuff.
Right, so I do some numbers for us for Hook Norton.
Yes, indeed.
So on Twitter, they have 15k followers. And if I'm honest, I will be following their Twitter account mostly because they're sharing a lot of photos of the horses, which is fantastic. And they look very cool. Very well done up and looked after horses.
Pretty horses, it's true.
And then on Instagram, they have 8,000 followers. Again, another good way of just keeping up to date with all the events. It looks like they're just mostly shouting about the different events they're doing there, which is, as I told you about, quite a lot of different things that they're doing.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, keeping in the. To be honest, that's a lot more presence on the social media than I kind of expected, to be honest. But yeah, you got to get people. We talked about before, but there's a lot of people who we probably think are not necessarily Hook Norton Brewery drinkers just yet, but might end up there. So I suppose that's how they get the claws in early doors.
Yeah, very good. And that's all we have time for this week's episode of the I'll Try That podcast. And so from me, Joe, Rich,
Barber,
and Simo,
goodbye. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram,
Twitter,
I'll try that podcast.com,
and watch us on YouTube.
Goodbye now.